What's up, Sports Geeks? It's your host, Josh, here, back with another episode here, another fantasy football episode, joined by Alec. As always, Alec, we are right back into the swing of fantasy football. Real quick, thank you, everybody, for liking the video last week, showing us that you guys like this content. So we're back here with another one, another Fantasy Football Friday here. So we're going to hop right into it here. I believe I had the first pick last time, so I'm going to give that to you here, Alec. Real quick, this is a Superflex Dynasty rookie rankings here. So this is what we're doing here. Again, there's no fits here. No, these guys haven't even been drafted. So just keep that in mind. Last week was 2 rounds, 10 picks each round. This one's 2 rounds, 12 picks. So it's a little bit different this time. Same format here though. But over to you, Alec, for your first pick here.
Yeah, I think it's the easy one. And Jeanty. There's not much to say here. He's going to be the 101 in probably Superflex or not, probably 90 to 95% of leagues.
Yep, and I would say probably of those 90 to 95%, T-Mac from Tyrell McMillan from Arizona is going to be that second pick. I think he's a what and Jeanty is for the running back position in this class, in a great running back class, but clearly the number one. I think T-Mac in an okay wide receiver class is clearly the number one. And depending on fits, if he ends up on the correct team, he could have. I mean, if he ends up I'm thinking like the Patriots with Drake May. And this could be a spectacular fit, but no, I love T-Mac here at the 2.
Yeah, no, I love T-Mac too. I think these guys are pretty clear. Like if T-Mac goes top 10, I think he has to go 1-2.
Yep.
Even over the QBs, just because even if the QBs go 1 and 2, I still think these guys are objectively better than the 2 QBs.
Right. Yeah, and I mean it comes down to like dynasty purposes. Like if you have if you're in year 4 or whatever of your dynasty and you had Aaron Rodgers as one of your quarterbacks and your quarterback 3 is Derek Carr that you picked up on the waivers, maybe you go quarterback here early because you need quarterback so badly. But the value of Jeanty and T-Mac is significantly higher than the value of quarterbacks that you're going to get in this year's draft.
Yeah. Awesome. So pick number 3. I'm actually going to go Cam Ward here. Mm-hmm. If Cam Ward goes 1, if Shedeur or Cam Ward goes 1, it really just depends. But I like kind of like the Callahan in Tennessee vibe on either of these guys. Mm-hmm. And I like it better than any of the running backs just because of the depth of the running back position. So I like Cam Ward at 3.
Yeah, I've had 2 pretty easy picks, I think, so far with T-Mac and Shedeur. So I like Shedeur's fit with other teams, I should say. Right. Like I like it with the Browns, with the Giants. I like it with both of them. Right. Because with the Browns, you have at least some sort of receiving weapons that you've seen. Jerry Jeudy had a great close to the year. David Njoku, we know is pretty consistent receiver there or receiving threat there. So I like that. And then also if you were to go to the Giants, obviously you have Malik Neighbors, who's a top 12 receiver already in the NFL. So I love Shedeur here. If you're getting him at the 4th overall pick in a super flex, it's good value with either him or Cam Ward.
Yeah.
And now the draft starts.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just depends on, again, your team needs.
Yeah.
If you need a running back here, I could see you going on Marion Hampton. That's who I'm going to go with the 5th pick. I'm going to go Hampton. He is going to be unbelievable. He's kind of being overshadowed by Jeanty, but he's going to be really good. He's 6 foot. He's 225. He gets that receiving threshold that people look for. He can pass block. He's kind of like a complete 3-down back. We don't really see a lot of those anymore. It'll be interesting to see where he goes because obviously we're doing this in January.
Right.
He could potentially get, in a backfield where he could get 60 to 65% of the touches. He is going to be elite.
Yeah, no, I like Hampton a lot. To me, he almost gives me. I'm not gonna, and maybe I've said this before. He almost gives me like Bijan Robinson vibes, right? He's a true 3-down back that is a great receiving threat. Runs with power, runs with great agility. I like Amari Hampton a lot. I know last one I took Caleb Johnson very early, and I still think that if you need running back and you're picking 3rd. Caleb Johnson and Amari Hampton are in that conversation, but I do think Amari Hampton here is probably is where I would lean. I'm going to go Luther Burden here at 6. I like Luther Burden a lot, and I think he has the way that him and Egbuka, their value, I see it very much in the range of teams that are going to use the crap out of them. I look at I think both of them are really in play for potentially the Bengals, depending on what happens with T. Higgins. Definitely like a team like the Steelers. Definitely if they decide to move on from George Pickens, which it looks like they're looking to do. Like if you're going to go into and you're going to put Luther Burden or Emeka Egbuka as the wide receiver 1 on the Steelers offense, I don't care who the quarterback is. If you're the wide receiver 1 there, or even the wide receiver 2, I really like it. So I like Luther Burden here. I also think he's very talented after the catch. He's a great route runner, but after the catch, it gives me a lot of hope and gives me the hope in which you can go to a team like whoever, say it's Pittsburgh with Justin Fields playing quarterback. And I don't think it matters because you have such ability after the catch, like what we saw to Malik Neighbors this year playing with, Daniel Jones playing terribly, Drew Lock at quarterback. It doesn't matter because he's got such great ability after the catch. So I kind of see that out of Luther Burden too. I'm not comparing him to Malik Neighbors, but he's also great after the catch.
Yeah, DJ Moore vibes.
Yeah, DJ Moore, good comp.
Okay, so I'm going to go Caleb Johnson here. Mm-hmm. This running back class is unfreaking believable. If your pick, so this is just my thought, and I've been thinking about this. If you have picks like 3 through 8, like if you have pick 3, I would try to trade down to like pick 6.
Yeah,
you're going to get a stud and then plus some back. Like if somebody needs a QB, I wanted to say this at 3. Like if somebody really needs a QB and wants to overpay, like just move back.
Yeah, because especially with the running back position when it's so like volatile and I'm going to go back to this several times. Like somebody like Bucky Irving, right? If you have somebody that's talented, that even when they're drafted, maybe they're not the team's true RB1 right now. A young running back, as soon as they show glimpses, teams will just say, "Screw it, yeah, we're gonna let you get beat up." Like you're gonna take plenty of hits. Like right, we'll run a dual back system, and then as they continue in this, like what you're saying, as you have these uber talented players, they're going to get in, and once they start getting those touches, they're going to prove their value.
Yeah, like when Jonathan Taylor got drafted, people were scared to draft him because of who was it then? Was it Naheem Hines?
Or was it Marlon Mack?
It was Marlon Mack. It was Marlon Mack. And people were scared of Marlon Mack because he was just off a 1,000-yard year.
Yep.
And then they split time his first year, and then second year, JT had 1,800 yards.
Yeah.
So it's more like talent eventually wins out, especially at running back.
Yes. Well, even like Jahmyr Gibbs, right? You had David Montgomery last year, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, but he's not as valuable because they're there. You are correct. They're going to take touches from him, but he is plenty valuable still. So, all right, well, we might be preaching to the choir here. This is me now at 8. I'm probably going to take Egbuka here. That's where I'm leaning. I think that there's 2 quarterbacks that could come into play depending on fit. But everything I said for Luther Burden, I really like for Emeka Egbuka. This is being recorded a couple days early here on Monday. So I know it's Fantasy Football Friday being recorded Monday here. And we are an hour and a half, a couple hours here away from the national championship, in which Emeka Egbuka could break Ohio State all-time records in receptions and receiving yards tonight. So we don't need to talk about how good of a route runner he is. He's got great hands, and he could have a great fit depending on where he goes in that mid to late first round.
Yeah, no, I love it. So, this is tough. So give me Travis Hunter here.
Yeah.
If you're in any IDP leagues, I'm in like one IDP league. I know we're getting into if you're in an IDP league, you're in the weeds, pretty heavily. He's going like in the top 3, but like if he's only going to play, and we talked about this, 30%, 40%, 50% of snaps, it's going to be tough. This is all based on the chance that he just plays receiver. Because if you can get him at 9, 10, like right after the draft, like if your dynasty draft is right after the draft and you guys don't wait until like right before the season, I mean, you could be getting a steal. So it's kind of like a lottery ticket where it's like late 1. I'm just going to take the chance on Travis Hunter if you need a wideout over guys like Trey Harris. Who like Trey Harris might be better, but if Travis Hunter plays wideout, I mean, you're basically getting a wide receiver 1 guaranteed. I mean, not guaranteed, but there's a probably 80 to 85% chance he is.
Yes. Yeah, no, I like that. And at some point, right, you're looking at, like you're saying, the value, the ceiling of, if you're drafting in the 9 through 12 range, you probably had a good season or you traded back. But what what value do you need? Do you need somebody that's going to be your wide receiver 1 right now? You're not going to find him at the 9th pick in your dynasty draft. You're just not going to. But you have the ceiling of Travis Hunter, which is exactly what you're saying there. So, yeah, no, I like that a lot. So here at 10, there's plenty of ways I could go here. I'm thinking about going tight end. I think tight end could come into play here with either Loveland or Warren, depending on fit. I like Warren a little bit more. Both quarterbacks, Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe, could come into play here. And then obviously you have these running backs here that are spectacular. I'm going to go Tyler Warren here. I think that in this late first round, I think if you can get a tight end that maybe even in year 1 is not spectacular, but the talent is there, the ability is there for Tyler Warren. And he is truly just a football player that's going to be on the field all the time. He gives me very much George Kittle vibes, the way that he just fights through everything. And I like him as a player a ton. Fantasy purposes, I don't think he's ever going to be somebody that's an 8 to 10 catches a game guy, but I do think that what he is able to do after the catch and just physically down the field is going to be enough of an upside, not even mentioning as a red zone threat if he gets on the right team.
Yeah, and I also think he could potentially, you know how like Mark Andrews does the tush push?
Mm-hmm. Bad day to mention Mark Andrews, but yeah.
It's a bad day. It's a bad day. But yeah, like I think he could be like tush push material, like on the goal line on certain teams.
Yeah, like
maybe a couple rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, and even like a Taysom Hill, like take it out of the like wildcat.
Because he did that at Penn State. I mean, he
did.
He was great on the goal line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, unless it was fourth down against Ohio State.
Yeah, then they got to throw.
Yeah.
To one of their wideouts who in their last playoff game, a wideout didn't catch one pass. So probably not a good call.
Yeah. Which real quick, I mean, just talking about Penn State real quick though, they have very good upside looking next year. I know Drew Aller had that terrible interception, but Drew Aller coming back is better than whatever was going to be there. I mean, it's not.
And both running backs would have been day 2 picks, like guaranteed.
Yes. So to bring both of them back is, yeah,
they're going to be. Patron Allen are like very good NFL prospects.
Yes. If Ohio State's backfield did not exist, I think that's the best duo of running backs in the nation. Maybe you can say Quintravion Wisner and Jaden Blue, but I think Penn State's is. But all right, either way, over to you here for 11.
Yeah, so at 11 here. So I think this is tough. I'm gonna go Henderson here. I think I'm so nervous that the Chiefs are gonna get Trayvon Henderson as an AFC as my team's in the AFC. But I think Trayvon Henderson, just the speed alone, his vision's really good. He hasn't taken that many hits. He's been hurt kind of a lot, like his first couple of years at Ohio State. If he can get past the injuries, he could be really good in the NFL. Really good in the NFL.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like him. I also like Judkins, his teammate as well, and that's why I'm going with the 12. I think they're so I think they're similar in the way that they play a little bit. They're also unique, and I think Trayvon Henderson is a little bit more of that lightning burst of speed, somebody that could hit the open space and just blow you out of the water. But I think I'm really curious as we're at the combine this year, which I'm stupid excited for, to see what these running backs run. What do they run, right? Can Quinshad Judkins, can he get into the 4.4s? Can he get into low 4.4s? Because if he does, one, it's going to help his draft stock a ton, which isn't necessarily what we're talking about, but it means in fantasy it's going to help you be willing to draft him a little bit too. So I like Judkins here at 12, but I think both quarterbacks could be in play. Also, I think Loveland from Michigan could be in play, depending on the fit there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That's why I'm going to go Jackson Dart here. I think he's going to be a high riser. He could, kind of like a Bo Nix last year. He might not go at 12, but I could see him rising.
Yeah. Jalen Milroe is somebody that I thought about taking here at 2, but I'm going to go tight end. I'm going to go Colston Loveland because I think he could be in a great spot. I still cannot shake the thought of Colston Loveland going to the Chargers and then being in that Chargers, in the Chargers offense with a top talent-wise, I would say top 5 quarterback in the NFL in Justin Herbert. Maybe if you're just talking overall performance, top 10 quarterback in Justin Herbert reunited with his old coach in Harbaugh. Colston Loveland, after what Will Dissly did in the playoffs, he's going to be a great target for Justin Herbert. And I can't get over the fact if he could have 8 catches for 50 yards every game. I think about like what Brock Bowers was for the Raiders. Colston Loveland isn't going to be that much, but if you get 80% of that, which I think he very easily could be for the Chargers if that's where he were to go, I love that in fantasy purposes.
Yeah, no, I do too. And especially if it's like if this is like a tight end premium, he's going way higher.
Oh yeah,
with that fit for sure. Okay, so here I'm going to go Trey Harris here. I'm really iffy on the 5th-year breakouts. I know we've talked about this, like the Xavier Legette kind of comp, where doesn't really. I mean, now to be fair, Trey Harris did a lot better in his 4th year than Xavier Legette did. But I think Trey Harris had such an unbelievable statistical season in the SEC that it's just so hard to ignore. It's going to be interesting where he goes in the actual NFL draft and like what his combine looks like. But I think Trey Harris could be good, especially the value at pick 15.
Yeah,
you're kind of splitting hairs at this point, kind of like hoping that the guy you pick kind of turns out to be a stud. So
yeah, no, I like that, and even Xavier Legette, like the rookie contracts, like yes, you're a 5th year, right? So if you're an NFL team, maybe that shakes you a little bit if they're a running back.
Yeah.
But to me, wide receivers can play until they're 34 at a high level. So in fantasy purposes, right, like you're drafting Trey Harris, if you are a believer in his talent and his ability, and he's taken from a team that is a believer and you think he's going to have a role, you're going to get 10 years of production from him. So, I mean, it's not like such a turnoff that it's like, oh no, I don't want to draft him because he's 23 in the draft. Like there's other things that can be.
You can also like look at it as like, okay, so in his 4th year of his rookie contract, he's going to be in his physical prime, and we only have to pay him $2 million.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm going Jalen Milroe there in the 4th pick in the 2nd round. Jalen Milroe. I'm not a believer in the overall NFL potential of him, but I do think that he's had games where he's played spectacular this year, and I think that his rushing upside gives him fantasy purpose. This completely depends on where he goes. If he were to get drafted in nobody wants to take a chance on him. He gets drafted in the 3rd round to the Bills as a backup quarterback. No, I'm not going to draft him here. But if he's drafted to anybody, right, like the Saints in the 2nd round or the Raiders in the 2nd round, I think that there's a lot of value then there if Jalen Milroe were to even have a chance to win the job at any point, or if the people ahead of him have a chance to lose the job, I should say. If that's possible, then I like Jalen Milroe a lot.
Yeah, no, I love it. And right here, I'm going Dylan Sampson. I'm not letting him get to pick 6 here in the 2nd round. Best statistical season at Tennessee. Or in Tennessee history, played in the SEC. Obviously, I know SEC people are kind of trashed on the SEC. It's not as good as it used to be. It's still really good. I mean, he had 20+ touchdowns. He had 1,400 yards. He's a dog. It's gonna be interesting to see if he weighs over 200 pounds. But we've seen running backs the last couple of years that don't weigh 200 pounds. Bucky Irving, Jahmyr Gibbs. I know also they have elite athleticism. So it's also going to be interesting to see how Dylan Sampson runs at the combine. If he can, because he got injured against Ohio State in the playoffs. He should be able to, though. But I think Dylan Sampson has a really good profile. And again, it's all, where these guys running backs go. That's the most important part for running backs. But if he goes to a good landing spot, I love Dylan Sampson.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you there. And I'm going to go with a running back that I might be higher on than others. It's Ollie Gordon. And I for a lot of what you just said about Dylan Sampson, I think the landing spot with Ollie Gordon is very crucial. Also, how he tests. How fast will Ollie Gordon run? If Ollie Gordon runs anything sub 4.6, if he runs in the 4.5s, if he runs in the 4.4s, absolutely. I think he's going to be a great NFL back in the sense that he's 6'2", 225. And what he did last year, running for nearly 2,000 yards, right? And then this year, he's got a terrible offensive line. You watch those games, he's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage on probably 50% of rushes. And they have no receiving weapons. So they got 8 guys. Like what Jeanty was getting, that's what he was getting, except he's a power back that he has to get going to be good, right? And whereas Jeanty can jump cut a lot easier. Ollie Gordon's not a jump cutter, but I like his power profile. I also think that in fantasy, he's a lot of touchdown upside. He has a lot of 1-2 yard rushes for touchdown upside. He can be your goal line back, and that can be his kind of entry level position. And then next thing you know, he's gravitating into a larger role. But I like Ollie Gordon the second a lot. Really interested to see what he runs at the combine, but I like him as a player a lot.
Yeah, no, I love him too. I'm going to go Isaiah Bond here. Receiver is a premium in fantasy. He's going to have 4.25, 4.28, 4.29, somewhere in there, speed, and you can't really pass that up, especially if the right coach and the right system kind of gets a hold of him. We've seen those guys really be able to succeed in the NFL. Again, it's going to really depend on also how much he weighs too, because that plays a big factor in it.
Right.
But I think Isaiah Bond just has the pure speed to have a chance to be good.
Yeah, I think another thing, probably more importantly than weight, I think is how he does in like hands drills. Like because if you can catch and you're fast, teams will find a way to use you, right? You might be vulnerable to get hurt, right? Like Xavier Worthy is what, $180, 180 pounds?
Oh, he's less than that.
But I think he's probably like 165 is what he really is. But I'm curious what he's listed at, because there's no way he is what he's listed. I'm gonna look it up really quickly because
looking at him, I would say.
Oh no, he's listed at 165. No, I lied. He's
so he's probably 160.
Yeah. He came to rookie minicamp at 169. But that's just what he told local reporters. There was no fact checking there. But yeah, either way, I think Isaiah Bond, I think he's going to be heavier than 169. But
I think so.
If you can catch and you're 4.2 speed fast, then you're fine. But I think a lot of teams are just kind of scared of that John Ross situation, right? Of okay, cool, you're 4.2 speed, but you can't catch. You need to be able to
run.
Yeah, that either. But no, I like Isaiah Bond there a lot. This gets really interesting now for me. There's a couple names here on the board. Harold Fannin Jr. is one that I really like in this spot. I also like Savion Williams and Alec Ayominoor. I love both of them. I'm going to go Harold Fannin Jr., the third tight end that I've taken here in this. But look, he's coming off of the best statistical season for a tight end ever. I know he's playing in the MAC for BG, but he's very, very athletic. What he does at the combine is going to be very impressive to teams, and I think he's going to rise up the draft board after that. But I like Harold Fannin Jr. I just like the upside, the ceiling here. You got to think you're taking the 20th best rookie here, right? What's the ceiling going to be, right? His floor is a guy that never ever starts a game for you ever, but his ceiling is a guy that ends up a wide or a tight end one, right? Or a top 6 to 8 tight end year in, year out, because he's just freakishly athletic with great hands. So I like him here, given the fact that you're picking the 20th best rookie here. I like it.
I love it. No, I really like his profile. I watched his tape a couple weeks ago. He moves so fluidly and so smooth for somebody that weighs like over 230. He's almost like a hybrid. I almost wish that he weighed like 20 pounds less so we could just play wideout.
Yeah.
So no, I really like him. But I'm going to go Cam Scatabo here. I think he's going to rise up. I think he rose up draft boards. He was the best player on the field. Against Iowa State, he was the best player on the field in a lot of those Big 12 games they played this year. And he was definitely the best player on the field in that Texas game.
Yep.
And Texas has, probably 20 people on the roster that are going to get drafted. Not this year, obviously, but over the next several years. So I could see him going day 2.
Yeah. I think for him, of anybody here, the 4-year dash time is so crucial, because I think he could very much fall into that like Blake Corum situation of like a great college running back, but you come out and you run like a 4.7. If you run a 4.7, there are not very many teams that are going to take you over a guy like Ollie Gordon running a 4.6, because Ollie Gordon he's 6'2", 225, right? He's got a little bit more power to him. Cam Scatabo's got a lot more fight to him, I think. But if he comes out and runs anything with 4.5s, obviously 4.6s, I think is kind of the middle ground. But I think the 40-yard dime is so crucial for him.
Do you think he runs it?
I don't know. I'm sure he does plenty by himself, and I think based off the times that he gets is going to determine whether he runs it or not.
If I was him, I'd probably just run at the pro day.
Yeah. Well, I think
it's less magnified, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing is that if you don't, like, if you come out and say, I'm not going to run it, that's almost like, especially for somebody like him, it's like, why not? Like,
I agree.
You're trying to hide something, right? Is it then they start in your mind goes to the worst possible case scenario. Is it 4.8? Is he running 4.9? Like,
no, I totally agree.
So, okay.
Because he doesn't look like he plays that 4.7.
No, he doesn't.
But he might run a 4.7. That's the
right. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so over to me here. This is my second to last pick here. I'm gonna throw a guy in here that was not drafted last time, Alec and Josh. And I love his profile out of Stanford. I just can't get the thought out of my brain of the game last season against Colorado and what he did to Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, if he was just a cornerback, would be the number 1 or number 2. Maybe you put Will Johnson ahead of him as a corner in this year's draft. And last year, Alec and Josh torched him for an entire game. And
it was like 300 yards.
It was like 300 yards. He had a catch where he pinned it on the back of his head. It was, I mean, everything that you wanted out of him. It was slants. It was comebacks. It was stop routes. It was go routes. It was everything. It was double moves. You name it, he was hitting it. And so I think that alone gives me enough hope that he could, if he can torch Travis Hunter for an entire game, I feel confident that in the correct situation, he can win a job. And as a wide receiver 3, start to produce in as a wide receiver 2, and maybe start to get into the offense enough to get some usage rate of 5 to 8 targets a game. So I like Amanore's profile, and I do think that he has some game tape that also is probably persuading me a little bit there too.
Well, it's also like we talked about ceiling. His ceiling is much higher than like a Tez Johnson.
Yep.
Like that kind of vibe. Watch Tez Johnson be like Antonio Brown, but like, you know what I mean? Like just like the pure athletic ceiling side.
Yep.
So my last pick here, I'm going to go Devin Neal. If Devin Neal goes to the right fit, people are going to look back on this and say, why weren't we higher on Devin Neal? Yeah. So, I mean, he's over 200 pounds. He can catch. He has great vision. He just played on Kansas. So, like if he was in the SEC, I think he would be getting a lot more buzz.
Yes. Yeah. No, I would agree with that. And this is a difficult pick to end this because there's 2 guys in debate between. It is Matthew Golden, Savion Williams. I'm going to give Savion Williams a little bit of credit here at the 12 spot. He is enormous as a red zone threat. I think this is just spectacular. I mean, he's 6'5", 220, right? So like, the ability to go up and be a red zone threat and catch a fade route at the 2-yard line or a corner is very, very valuable. And so like he could be a like Nick Westbrook Akine, right? Not necessarily that's his profile, but like somebody that's not necessarily going for 8 catches a game, but he might have a touchdown in 5 straight games because of just his profile. So I think Savion Williams is upside there. We talk about ceiling. You're drafting the 24th best rookie. I like somebody that has extremely high touchdown upside here.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that too.
Yeah. So here's this is the second one here. This is a 12-team, 2-round rookie dynasty mock draft. That is a ton to say there. Yeah, so that's 2 rounds there. We're going to be back every single Friday with Fantasy Football Friday. Any closing comments out of you here, Alec?
No, I'm just excited. We're like 90 something days away from the real NFL draft. It's the best time. It's literally one of the best days of the year.
Yes, no, it is. So, yeah, we appreciate all the support on these. Obviously, that means we're going to continue putting these out. So, also make sure to go check out the NFL mock drafts. Those are dropping every single Monday, the Monday mock draft. So, make sure to go check those out too. And for a lot more information on our thoughts and opinions on these prospects as we dive into film, as we dive into all of our research here. So, tons more there. But other than that, we have weekly fantasy football coming every single Fantasy Football Friday. So this has been the Sports Geeks Podcast. They play, we talk. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.